The Pokemon anime is finally adapting content from Pokemon Legends EA. Let's get into it. Here's what's happening in Pokemon Horizons Mega Voltage. Episode 108, Diana comes back. Like the title reveals, Diana is back, and like clockwork, that means we're in for some lore updates. She reconnects with the Rising Voltaclers and rolls up with new Pokemon like Revavroom, which is a nice little touch to show that she's been progressing too. The big takeaway from this episode is the info dump about Terabagos' power. Diana theorizes that even in its stellar form, Terabagos wasn't at full power to completely eliminate the Laquium. To reach that, it has to resonate with Pokemon of all 18 types. That's right, 18. So far, they've only had the power of the 6 hero Pokemon, so that means that there are about 12 more Pokemon to go. Honestly, that's kind of wild, and while I do love a good quest structure, I'm a little bit concerned that this might start to feel repetitive, like the pre-time skip material, so hopefully they handle this with a lot more care. But to be fair, the pieces are moving. Not because of Briar, as she's too busy to answer any questions, but by Uruto. Ult. We got his official English name now, it's Ult. He confirms that he saw the hero Pokemon at the Explorer's hideout, and between his intel and Hamber's, it looks like they're being relocated. So now the gang's got a new lead to chase. Speaking of Hamber, he and Diana teaming up is a great development that we get more insight on. It's now fully confirmed that Hamber is done with the Explorers, and I love that we're slowly building to a rebellion against Benel behind the scenes. But honestly, my favorite part of the episode was Charcadet. Liko's little guy is full of energy and loyalty, but still super rough around the edges. Diana picks up on this and offers to battle Liko, using that match as a teaching moment. Charcadet learns that brute force isn't enough. It needs to learn teamwork, which ends up being key to taking down Diana's Rotom Wash, which is a pretty impressive moment all things considered. It even learns Fire Spin mid-battle, after using his Flash Fire ability to power itself up. I'm glad it didn't win overall, it would have been way too much, but the growth was still satisfying. I feel like this episode did a better job at fleshing him out than his capture episode did. All in all, this was a nice mix of plot progression and character development. Diana's lore drops always bring a sense of urgency to the larger story, and I'm really enjoying the way Charcadet's arc is shaping up. This episode's rating is a 6 out of 10. This video is sponsored by Elestrals Awakened. It's a brand new 2.5D pixel art monster catching RPG that's all about adventure, strategy, and discovery. You'll explore massive ruins, solve puzzles, and bond with elemental spirits as you train over 100 different Elestrals, each with unique abilities and paths to evolution. The game features a spirits point system that fuses health and energy into one, making every move a real trade-off between risk and reward. You can Nexus or ascend your Elestrals into new, more powerful forms, and even hunt down stellar rare Elestrals, special alternate forms with unique powers and abilities. This is an indie project built with passion, and backing is only open until November 7th. By supporting the Kickstarter, you'll become an NPC or caster in-game, gain exclusive in-game unlocks, and limited edition rewards that won't return once it's over. So if you want to be a part of something special, don't miss out. Click the link in the description to back Elestrals Awakened today. It's only available for a limited time, so make sure you secure your rewards before it's too late. Episode 109, How Tinkatuff Makes the Ultimate Hammer. This episode ended up being way more fun than I expected. As the Rising Voltaclers prepared to meet Amethyal's father in order to help take down Exceed, we actually shift focus to Dot's Tinkatuff, who's on a mission to upgrade her hammer. That alone already sets up for a fun time, but what really stood out here was how much both Tinkatuff and Gimmighoul got to shine. Gimmighoul's usually obsessed with collecting coins, but when it runs into trouble with the wild Scrafty, Tinkatuff steps in to help. From that moment on, the two form a bond that really pays off later. I love seeing Gimmighoul actually think about someone else's goals for once. It's subtle, but a clear sign of growth for Dot's team. Meanwhile, Coral and Sidian are back. Turns out they've been getting more fame and recognition post-time skip, and it's hilarious seeing them deal with their new PR manager. She sends them on a new mission, to ambush the Rising Voltaclers in Paldea. Oh, and they're apparently in Galar, which I pieced together thanks to the Corviknight Taxi. As soon as that showed up, I knew exactly where this was headed, and sure enough, it leads to an amazing gag where Tinkatuff attacks Corviknight to use its metal wings for her hammer. The in-game lore connection was so good here. The battle that followed was also pretty great. Quaxwell stands up to the Explorers alone at first, but when it falls, Gimmighoul joins in to protect Tinkatuff and her hammer. And then comes the best moment, when Gimmighoul has to choose between saving the dropped coins or helping Tinkatuff. It actually chooses Tinkatuff. Now I will admit it is a little weird that the hammer took priority during a fight with the enemy, like Dot could have had Tinkatuff battle and then go for the hammer right after, but it's whatever because that evolution was worth it. Tinkatuff evolves into Tinkaton and the payoff was so satisfying. Overall, this was a good development episode for Dot's team. It balanced humor, character growth, and even tied in Tinkatuff's lore pretty well. And now with the reveal of the Explorer's Trap, Dot has to notify the others before it's too late. Oh, never mind. I guess we've got conflict coming up next. This episode's rating is a 7 out of 10. Episode 110. The 6 heroes bear their fangs. Okay, so this episode wasted no time in throwing us into the chaos. Liko, Roy, and Ult fall right into the Explorer's Trap, and almost immediately, Indy and Rubella unleash Lucius's 6 hero Pokemon. Well, technically 5 since Rayquaza's not here, but close enough. They're also rocking an upgraded Super Strong Sphere. Great name, by the way, which uses the max power of Laquium. And the moment these hero Pokemon get supercharged, it's game on. What I love about this setup is the tension. These are the same powerful Pokemon our heroes barely held their own against earlier in the series, and now they're stronger than ever. It's basically a no-win situation, but Liko and the gang still give everything they've got. Meanwhile, Dot and Hamber meet and they have their own mission, rescue Amethio's father. But they're stopped by Charles. This is where things get really interesting. The way Hamber speaks to her, like she outranks him, definitely raises some questions. There's clearly some sort of hidden history between them, and Charles even blackmails Hamber, saying that if he interferes, they'll lose their own insider to protecting Amethio. So Dot's the one who has to step up. This is kinda wild. Is Charles secretly gonna betray Spinel? What is going on here? Fresh off her evolution, Tinkatuff gets to show off her new power, but not without a struggle. I really like how Dot has to outsmart Charles instead of just overpowering her, allowing her to fully charge Gigaton Hammer. Such a satisfying payoff. Back with the main battle, the whole team bands together to give Pogogo time to charge up and try to remove the Laquium effects, similar to what it did at Laqua. This leads to some awesome battle moments, including the return of Mega Dragonite, which I will never complain about. Everyone's really pulling their weight, except for Ult a little bit, and eventually Pogogo does succeed in cancelling the Laquium effects, until the Explorers hit them with the Super Strong Sphere once again. Because of this, Pogogo's taken out. Yeah, they're kinda cooked. This was a really good episode. It was high stakes, lots of moving parts, and some deep character interactions. But I gotta say, the animation did let it down. This is supposed to be the climax of the arc, but the visuals just don't bring the weight that these moments deserve. Some attacks lacked impact, and overall, it felt a little too flat for what should have been a showstopper. Still, the story and emotion carried hard, so let's just hope that the finale sticks the landing. This episode's rating is a 7 out of 10. Episode 111. Get Stronger, Aim Higher. Alright, so this episode looked way better than the last one, immediately handling the concerns I had with the previous one. Everything from the battle choreography to how the characters moved just felt more alive. The use of the environment during the fights especially stood out. It was dynamic and gave the battle some much needed weight. The stakes are also still super high here. Within minutes, everyone's main Pokemon gets one-shotted. Meowscarada, Crocodile, and Sableye all wiped. It really turns into a survival match, with most of the group just dodging attacks. Even Ult, who's usually energetic, is clearly shaken. You feel that desperation. And just when things seem hopeless, boom! Amethio makes his return, all dripped out, with 10% Zygarde by his side. What a huge moment. And it finally feels like the battle can turn around. One of my favorite moments was the teamwork. Liko using Ceruleage's Bitter Blade to activate Flash Fire on Charcadet, that was pure genius. Then she builds on that by drawing from their earlier fight with Diana's Arcanine to help it take on Gouging Fire. That continuity is so satisfying. I love when strategy gets rewarded like that. Also, I gotta give a shout out to the epic Ceruleage and Kleavor clash. It just makes so much sense to have the Pokemon with blades for hands to go at it. On the flip side, Ult's arc continues to stumble a bit. He doesn't do much in the fight, which is intentional, as he admits later on that the power of the 6 heroes scared him. This will definitely lead into something meaningful, especially now that a training arc is clearly on the horizon. Speaking of the ending, it's kind of wild that the protagonists don't technically win. The Super Strong Sphere just runs out of power, ending the fight. It's not exactly a triumphant victory, but honestly, I kinda like it. Like the previous arc, our heroes walk away knowing that they weren't strong enough. It's humbling, and it sets the stage for more growth. Rather than showing up with the Blueberry Academy invite was the perfect setup for the next arc. Also, I really loved seeing Amethio rekindle his father's resolve, the same way Liko did for him. That small emotional beat tied things together really nicely. This was a strong close to the arc. Not perfect, but it did clean up a lot of what the previous episode lacked. the character growth, setup for training, and that Blueberry Academy tease all hit. So let's hope that the next arc really lets the gang level up. This episode's rating is an 8 out of 10. And now it's time to cover the 3-part mini-arc, episode Mega Evolution. Episode 112, Roy, Training. As Roy and Ult have a Mega Evolved training session, Liko and Dot finally decide to question on how Roy got his shiny Lucario in the first place. We've been wondering the same thing for ages, so it's great to finally get some answers. The episode flashes back to Roy traveling to Kalos to learn about Mega Evolution. I thought this was a cool way to fill in the gap that the anime kinda skipped over. In Lumio City, he bumps into Ult, who's a native and clearly not a fan of tourists. Their little clash gets interrupted, however, by the most underwhelming Mega Evolution sequence you'll ever see. Like bro, they did Mega Evolution so dirty with the animation here. You can definitely see the tension between Roy and Ult bubbling. Ult's kind of unimpressed by Mega Evolution since it's normal for him, but seeing Roy geek out over it sort of reignites his interest. That contrast makes their dynamic a lot more fun. This is where we meet Master Mayonnaise. Yeah, you heard that right. This dude is a Mega Evolution expert going around spreading the word like it's a lifestyle brand. It's hilarious, but also fun. And hey, is it just me or does he low-key look like Karina? Maybe that's her father or something. During Mayo's Mega Evolution spiel, he tasks the boys to find their own Mega Stones after giving them Keystones. There are some fun little details here, as Ult already has a Sablenite thanks to Sableye's shiny hoarding nature, while Crocolore randomly picks up a rock, which might be an Everstone? It would low-key explain why it hasn't evolved during the time skip. It was pretty funny, but can someone please explain to Roy that you can't Mega Evolve your Crocolore? Unless... Mega Skeledirge anyone? Anyway, seeing their eagerness to master Mega Evolution, Mayo sends the boys on a mission to face off against the mysterious Yellow Blast, which turns out to be the shiny Lucario that we know. That intro was kinda sick. Lucario's literally just aura farming, waiting for strong trainers to challenge it. And spoiler alert, Roy and Ult are not strong enough yet. Lucario wrecks them with ease. It's a humbling moment, but clearly sets up the growth that they'll need to earn its respect. This episode was a solid setup. The timing is a bit weird with it suddenly cutting to flashback mode when we should have already seen this, but I guess it's fitting with Legends EA being out in the same month. Also, knowing Roy gets this shiny Lucario kinda takes away the hype of its reveal, but still, Mayonnaise is weirdly likable, and I'm hyped to see how Roy ended up bonding with Lucario. This episode's rating is a 6 out of 10. Episode 113. Ult, Strongest. After getting completely humiliated by shiny Lucario, Roy and Ult take a breather, and surprisingly, they're just chilling at the Liquor Bureau. This already hooked me, because immediately we get the introduction of Emma. Total surprise, and it's just such a cool inclusion. What makes it even better is the fact that Ult has actually been with her, which instantly deepens his character. This episode gives us our first real deep dive into Ult's backstory, and it's honestly one of the strongest character-focused episodes we've had since the time skip. We learned that Ult's an orphan, who lived in the streets of Lumios with his Sableye before Emma took him in. That detail fits perfectly with Emma's own story from X and Y, since she also lived on the streets before Liquor adopted her. And yes, Liquor even gets a reference here. That's huge, because now we officially have a character that's connected to Ash Ketchum. That's such a nice touch. Now while all of this is great, I do have one small gripe. We already know that Ult has a Dragonite in his Dusk Ball, so revisiting this mystery here doesn't quite hit the same. Still, I appreciate that they added context as to why he's obsessed with earning its approval, and even why he decides to go after the Black Rayquaza. The heart of this episode comes during Ult's battle against Roy. He loses badly, and Master Mayonnaise calls him out, saying Ult isn't ready for Mega Evolution because he doesn't truly connect with his Sableye. He's been too focused on proving himself to Dragonite instead of appreciating the Pokemon that's right beside him. It's actually a great callback to the previous episode where Sableye was always helping him out, but Ult just never noticed. That lesson lands hard. Later, Lucario leads them back into the maze for a rematch, and this time Ult and Sableye are in sync. It's a really nice payoff, showing their growth and setting up their future Mega Evolution perfectly. The episode ends with both boys being challenged by two new trainers, setting the stage for what's next. This was a strong Ult episode. We finally get his backstory, and a meaningful step towards his bond with Sableye. Honestly, I just wish we got this sooner. It would have made him click as a character way earlier, but either way, I'm glad we finally got it. This episode's rating is a 7 out of 10. Episode 114, Mega Evolution, Bonds. We've officially hit the conclusion of the Mega Evolution flashback, and man, this one delivers. It opens right where we left off with Roy and Ult teaming up against two trainers to test their strength. I love the ninja aesthetic of these opponents. It fits the environment perfectly and gives the battle a really fun vibe. Even though Ult starts off strong, I like how he wavers a bit mid-fight. You can tell he's still overthinking things, doubting himself even when he clearly is improving, but watching him look over at Roy and Crocalor synergy and realizing that that's what he's missing, that was such a great moment. The shift from I want to be the strongest to I want my Pokemon to be the strongest feels like the heart of his growth. Their connection finally clicks here, and it's really satisfying to watch. Of course, the real test comes when they challenge Shiny Lucario again. The fight had some awesome visuals, especially the matching aura effects between Ult and Sableye, and the emotional payoff is perfect. Seeing them Mega Evolve for the first time felt absolutely earned. The way the transformation was handled felt powerful, and it really captures how far Ult has come over the past 3 episodes. I also like how the episode doesn't just hand him an easy win. Mega Sableye is new to its form, a bit clumsy, and that cost them the match. But it's not a loss that feels bad, it's still rewarding. Then Roy steps in, and his battle against Lucario continues. He and Crocalor are in complete sync. Their energy, their flow, everything, to the point that Lucario itself resonates with them. And then it happens. Roy Mega Evolves Lucario mid-battle. Yeah, the two resonate so much that Roy Mega Evolves his opponent. Kind of insane. Yeah, maybe it happens a little fast emotionally, but the sheer shock value alone sells it. Crocalor pushes past his limits, the Fire Egg literally swelling, and outplays Mega Lucario for the win. It's a clean, decisive finish that rewards Roy's growth and bond rather than just raw power. Immediately after, Lucario chooses Roy, not out of convenience but respect. It finally found the trainer who can push it higher, and that choice also unlocks more of Lucario's personality. It stops feeling so stoic and now acts proud, curious, even a little playful. I really hope we see more of this in the present. Overall, this was a fantastic finish to the Mega Evolution flashback. Ult's character development finally feels complete, Roy's bond with Lucario now makes total sense, and the little details like Emma revealing that Cap most likely chose to travel with Roy because he reminds him of Freed, tie it all together beautifully. This episode's rating is an 8 out of 10.